I'd be surprised if he lasts 4 years. In this episode, I'm going to give you my prediction about Biden's tenure as president. This is not a political agenda in this video, but I get asked by people wherever I go and speak. I have a national radio show. Doug, what's your take on Biden actually lasting for 4 years during his presidency? So I usually will ask my audiences, would you prefer that I be honest or gentle? And they always say honest. And so I'm going to give you my take. I don't know how long he's going to last, but I'd be surprised if he makes it 4 years, and I'm going to share why. So what do I know? I can't predict the future, but I've observed a lot of leaders of our country and many other leaders in government and what have you throughout my lifetime. I'm 69 years old. I've been a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist now for more than 48 years. And so I've watched various people come and go in government. Some stay there a long time, senators and legislators and so forth. Presidents were limited after FDR to only 2 terms. But, as I've observed President Joe Biden, and he's been around a long time, I can see some things that I notice happens when people begin to decline and get up in age, okay? And so as a retirement planning specialist, I've watched many clients go from their 30s to 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and I notice decline mentally, emotionally, physically, and what have you. So I'm just going to give you my take on some possibilities why I would be surprised if President Biden actually serves out his full 4 years, his tenure, under a normal 4-year presidency, okay? Now, there's several scenarios. First of all, he's worn out. If you have not noticed what I've noticed, he does not seem to enjoy being president. Yeah, he's been a politician for a long time, and it's just part of him. But I believe he was put in there. He was put up for nomination because he was the best candidate, most likely to get elected, running against Trump and so forth. And so, as I've watched him take on the presidency, there is a lot about his body language, about his frustration, that tells me he's not really enjoying this. Now, if you don't enjoy solving problems or tackling issues that are mega issues in the world or with the country, you lose your zest for living and constantly being bombarded by media and critics and so forth. Some politicians thrive on that. Others, they almost cave in, especially if age is getting the best of them. So I've been watching with the cognitive decline and physical, and I can tell that, many critics say, well, who is calling the shots? Because he is always saying, well, they told me not to take questions. They told me only to ask these people. They told me to get off stage. And it's sort of interesting because a lot of presidents, if they said that, they told me not to answer questions. They told me that would be very suspicious. But people seem to be forgiving because he seems to be going downhill. He doesn't have the energy, and he doesn't sort of bounce off the stage with any type of energy. And so I've watched a lot of people go downhill physically in my career. And so there's signs here that he may just run out of steam. So he could resign. I would not be surprised if he resigns because he's just fed up with it. He's worn out. He doesn't want to deal with it. The second possibility, and even Nancy Pelosi suggested this one when they were talking about the 25th Amendment. So what is that? Under the 25th Amendment, basically it says that if Congress deems that a president is not capable, they're not able to serve as president, make decisions and so forth, they can remove that person, okay, that president, and the vice president comes in or what have you, and then they find a new vice president, what have you. And that's the 25th Amendment in case a president becomes incapacitated, cannot handle it, and so forth. And I thought it was rather interesting when they pushed this through in 2020 that Nancy Pelosi said we may even need to impose the 25th on Mr. Biden if he is elected president. I thought, whoa, that was pretty interesting. So it could happen that way, because they deem that he is not able to continue to function with the world being topsy-turvy and the things that are going on, because it's a lot of pressure. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Now, another frank thing that could happen is the chance of somebody dying. When you're that age, the chance of dying in the next, let's say, 3 years, as of the recording of this episode, which is October of 2021, somebody that age, with some of the things that have already happened to President Biden physically, probably the chance of dying would be 30% or higher. And so just statistics would say he could pass away from a stroke, a heart attack, or whatever. Life is very fragile anyway. But when you're that age, there's a lot of possibility that you might just pass away. So that could happen. I'm seeing some things there that show that many of my clients who had similar body language, lack of energy, lack of zest, were not around within 2 or 3 years when they started showing the same signs that I'm seeing in President Biden, okay? I don't wish premature death on anybody, but he has lived a good long life. And so it may be his time before his time is up as president. There's a lot of other factors. And again, this is not a political agenda here, but I'm noticing that the investigations are continuing into voter fraud. And we, of course, have people going crazy, but they investigated voter fraud and Russia conspiracy and everything for 4 years during the Trump administration. Well, I can see the same thing happening during the Biden administration. And if they uncover anything that shows, well, maybe there were 60 or 70,000 votes that were fraudulent here and some in this state or whatever, if they come up with some actual evidence that maybe the election was not as legitimate as it should have been, I don't know what's going to happen. It could cause an uproar in the country. And so that leads into probably the 5th reason why I think he may just say, okay, enough is enough. And that's when the country is not harmonious. Now, I know President Biden says he wants to unify, but whatever he's doing is not unifying the country. It's continuing to divide. So if the country remains disunited, okay? And the country continues in disharmony, it's going to take its toll on any presidency, but especially this presidency. So I hope that our country can get through this. I always hope for the best. I always pray for our president, Republican or Democrat. I want this great country to survive. I hate to see contention, but I also can see some signals here. And so when people ask me, Doug, what do you think? And I'm going, it would not surprise me if he doesn't make it for 4 years. And so if that's true, then we have possibly Vice President Harris coming up. She's also got some issues. We have a divided Congress. We've got a divided country. And I'm worried. And so I think we have a lot of uncertainty going on. And this is probably not news to any of you watching this video. So what should we do? I would implore you to exercise as much faith as possible. Do your part as an American. I think it's more important that we build up instead of tear down. This episode has not been meant to tear down anybody, but to deal with reality, because we need to be prepared for no matter what happens and come together as a country instead of continuing to divide. Because if that happens, we are going to lose some of the precious freedoms and the confidence that we have in government leaders and the ability to vote and have our vote counted and so forth. So whatever happens, if you would like to learn more, I would implore that you subscribe to this channel. This channel is not about political issues. It's about how to take ownership of your brighter future instead of relying on government or things like that, to be able to accumulate, access, and transfer your hard-earned money tax-free, so you don't have to worry about running out of money, but also how to be responsible and accountable and teach your children and grandchildren to love this great country and to contribute to America and appreciate the freedoms that we have here. And that's really my passion and purpose. So subscribe to this channel because I share a lot of insights like this on three-dimensional wealth. Click on the link below and be sure and click the little bell because you'll be notified every time I post an opinion, a prediction. A lot of my videos are educational in nature, and I want to empower you with knowledge, with the wisdom to be able to optimize the assets that you have in your life, not just the money, family, friends, faith, all of those things that we value and cherish most. So you're welcome to go to laserfund.com, L-E-S-E-R fund.com, and you can claim a free copy of my most recent best-selling book called The Laser Fund. It looks like this. Or if you understand a little bit about what I'm talking about, teaching children and grandchildren to be responsible and accountable, this book, Entitlement Abolition, How to Abolish Entitlement Mindset, is found under entitlementabolitionbook.com. And that's a 200-page book. Either way, I'll gift you a free copy of either of these books if you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. But here's to your brighter future. And I hope and pray for this great country to survive and flourish for many years to come.